Hello, my name is Annabelle Yahweh. I'm a student of the Monk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy, and I'm currently pursuing my Master's of Public Policy. My questions for the authors of Pandemic Panic is as follows. 1. Given the unprecedented nature of the COVID-19 pandemic, how do you reconcile the need for swift government action to protect public health with the preservation of civil liberties, particularly in a democratic society like Canada?
Thank you so much for the question. Freedom and security really is the classic debate. And speaking from the perspective of a civil libertarian, it's in moments when there are concerns about safety, when our rights are actually the most at risk. The desire to restrict our hard-won and precious freedoms that most people in this world don't have, it's strongest when there is a novel situation and the perception of danger. That's when governments are most eager to seize new powers, and it's when citizens are the most willing to give them up. And the pandemic was a new and novel situation. It's something that our society had not faced before. And this willingness on the part of the government to seize new powers and the willingness of the citizens to give the government those powers, that's precisely what we saw happened. And it's for this reason that we have a constitution to deal with when there are novel and perhaps dangerous situations, and to provide some overarching, broader guiding principles. Safetyism, placing safety as the highest and most important value in our society, should not be our guiding principle. We have a constitution in place to ensure that even in novel situations, the government is still bound by rules that respect our most fundamental rights: freedom of expression, religion, freedom to move, and non-discrimination rights. During the pandemic, we saw the pendulum swing too far towards safety, and in some cases, like the invocation of the Emergencies Act, the pendulum swung so far that our core constitutional and democratic values were violated.
In your legal analysis, how do you weigh the potential infringement on individual rights against the collective responsibility to safeguard public health during a global crisis, specifically focusing on ongoing dialogue between government authorities, legal experts, and civil liberty advocates to ensure a responsive and rights-respecting approach to future health emergencies?
Thanks so much for your excellent question, Annabelle. So, how to weigh individual rights with collective rights? So first, high level. By balancing the various social goods. Public health is an obvious social good, but so too are education, individual freedom, including community and faith and economic sustenance. And I think one theme of Pandemic Panic is that government responses to the pandemic ended up disproportionately weighting straightforward spread of the virus over these other social goods. More concretely, one suggestion might be to make lockdown decisions away from public health officers and put them squarely in the hands of elected officials. We know from experience during the 3 years of the pandemic that public health officials will always choose whichever measure will just minimize spread of the virus. And democracy requires that those that are electorally accountable to the public make these decisions, which inevitably involve political calculations. And another suggestion, which was actually made by Preston Manning in his COVID postmortem report, is to make the trade-offs and cost-benefit analyses of emergency measures public. This would allow transparency about the trade-offs that politicians are necessarily engaged with. So, for example, if a government is projecting that a 3-month lockdown could save the lives of 10,000 seniors, but also will cause 100,000 workers to lose their jobs, 1 million kids to miss school and suffer irreversible learning losses, and many young people die from drug overdoses or suicides. It's very grim and not uplifting at all to contemplate, but those types of calculations, which we know were made behind the scenes, should be made public. Thanks so much again.